recognize that I am all that stands between you and lunch. I recognize that as soon as I came in here, so I decided to take my 35-minute remarks and cut them down significantly. Okay? So this way I'm going to ingratiate myself, and I'm going to be given an opportunity to eat rather than hustled out the door. This morning, I was doing some yard work with my wife, and as things like that happen, you have inspiration. That's some of my best thinking time, is when my hands are busy and I'm doing something constructive. So this morning, while I was doing some good, heavy thinking, I was inspired to change the theme of my discussion with you for today. Now, the main body of it is pretty much the same, but the theme has changed. Now, I don't invite you to do this type of thinking if you're using sharp instruments, okay? So, when you're doing your yard work or some type of gardening, just make sure you don't have clippers or sharp shovels. But I was inspired this morning, and I changed my theme to be service. Is it chance or is it choice? I was asked to speak about my life's journey, and my life has spanned from service to country to now service for others. And I'm going to start with a quote that I would like you to remember, because not only am I starting my remarks with it, I will conclude with this quote. Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. Your work as lions can be by chance or choice. Your mission of service is chance or choice. So let's discuss, or let me describe to you, those chances and choices that I was able to make or be faced with as I started my career stepping onto the campus at Texas A&M in 1975. I know, I don't look that old. I flatter myself, I forgot. There was a simple, profound statement at the bottom of a statue in the center of campus, and it read, John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. It was simple, yet profound, and it affected me whenever I first stepped on at the campus. There was that youthful energy that I had and the naivety of what I was going to be facing in military service. Eventually, when I entered the Navy submarine force, I was convinced, just like any young man, young woman entering the service, that I was invincible. And that even though I was engaging in a very serious line of work that could lead to harm or potential death, it is a dangerous profession, but no harm would come to me. That's for the other person. Youth. And I had made my first choice, and that was to raise my right hand and say, I do solemnly swear. As I progressed through the ranks and the growing levels of responsibility, I matured from being very tactical to being more operational and eventually getting to strategic. And I remember how much smarter I was as a lieutenant than my department head. And I remember when I became a department head, how much smarter I was than my chief of staff. When I became a chief of staff, I realized how stupid I really was and how dependent I was on others to help me accomplish my job. Well, that continuum of learning never stopped, and that was by choice. I also experienced the corporate world because my Navy career was a hybrid career. I started active duty, being stationed here in San Diego in 1980, and then I left to go into the reserves and progressed into the corporate world while staying in reservist, living here in San Diego. At each of the companies, I thought I was the smart guy entering the room. That's why they hired me, because I was a smart guy, right? Fortunately, I was quick to learn how much I did not know about business, finance, corporate culture. Eventually, when I became a civil servant, I was surprised at how much I had to unlearn about business, finance, and corporate culture. Again, the continuum of learning never stopped. That was choice. During all of these years that it's evolved, I took to heart the need to prepare my own vision and my own mission statement. This was intended to define who I wanted to be and to firmly establish my core values, not only just in thought, but to write them down and to put the commitments of how I intended to live to those core values, and then to share them with others so they could hold me accountable. It took years to evolve it, and my current vision statement to be a legacy of lasting positive impact with my children and grandchildren, and to create a tipping point for servant leadership to dominate among our community, the corporate world, and with our elected leaders. My mission is to serve the greater glory of God, to fulfill His use of my talents, while living my faith, loving my family, and inspiring others through my personal example. These are all coupled with my values, and my values so closely align with what the values are of Lions Club International. The first one is service, and this is where my topic is going to lead now. When I retired as a Rear Admiral, I had just completed going from 5 years of active duty to 25 years of reserve. When I made Admiral, I was recalled to active duty for 5 years. The next 5 years, I was gone from home, on average, 35 weeks out of every year. The last 2, I was stationed overseas in Europe to start up a brand new command under NATO called Commander Submarine Forces NATO. It sounds glamorous. It was. It was. I cannot state more categorically that was a phenomenal tour of duty. When I retired, I had to reset my life. My work, my life goals, my aspirations, and to adjust to a new norm. Civilian workplace values, mission focus, and camaraderie are so different between the military life and the civilian life. Finding new meaning for my professional life required me to carry forward some of my virtues, some of my values, and to leave others behind. I think some of you, some from my table, will recall some of these choices that you had to make. I chose to carry forward with me personal discipline, the systematic approach to problem solving, the calmness during crisis management, a sense of perspective. If it's not going to harm you or kill you, then quit sweating bullets. But I also chose to leave behind some things. My expectations of a corporate world where I would establish unit identity. And what I mean by this is, I may not remember a person's name who served in the military, but I will often remember the whole number or the name of the ship they served on. And that's how I relate to it, because that's how we relate in our military service life. So I was leaving that behind. I was leaving behind the SSN mindset. Now, SSN stands for Submarines Nuclear. Capital S, capital S, capital N. But what we lived was Saturdays, Sundays, and nights on the boat working, because you were constantly getting ready to go to sea. In the corporate and leaving things behind into where I retired life, I said I'm leaving behind having to work Saturdays, Sundays, and nights. I'm leaving behind family sacrifice. And I'm leaving behind the deployment mentality, where you are constantly thinking of being forward deployed, and that affects all of your daily life until you actually deploy. I began to prepare for this semi-retirement by doing some consulting on strategic leadership and some teaching at Point Loma Nazarene on the subject of leadership. And that's how I found my work at Feeding San Diego. I was doing a strategic plan for them as they were transitioning between pre-COVID to COVID environment. And you can imagine the demand for food security and the need to relieve hunger was skyrocketing rapidly. That first year that I was on board with Feeding San Diego, 2021, was a hallmark year in our world with regard to how COVID impacted life. My job as Chief Strategy and Chief Operations Officer was to make sure food flowed in volume quickly to the points in the community where there was need for hunger relief. The year prior to my coming on board, the organization had moved on the order of 20 million pounds of food. That first year that I was on board, we rocked it up to about 40 million pounds of food, getting out into the community. That was no small feat. We went from 50 to 100 employees in less than 12 months. Rapid growth, rapid donations, and my mantra to the team was speed to feed. Get it out there, get it in volume. What a journey that became. Because I gave a commitment that I was going to do this job for 3 years, and when I hit the age 67, I was going to retire for the 3rd time in my life and see if it stuck. 2.5 years into it, the CEO left. So who is second in command? Chief Ops. So I fleeted up into the role as interim CEO. That evolved into accepting the job with a 5-year commitment. So now I will be well into my 70s whenever I say it is finally time to retire. I'll see if that one sticks. I can honestly say, with all the evolution that I have gone through, starting as a cadet at Texas A&M, to retiring as a flag officer in our Navy, to doing what I do today, that the most gratifying job I have ever had is the one that I am filling right now. I say that from my heart because I get to work in my community, to serve my community, and I see the impact every day that I work. Yesterday, I was at the Veterans Village stand-up, and I saw the food being served was from Feeding San Diego, and it was being delivered to veterans and others who were in need. Yesterday evening, I was at Memorial Park Recreation Center, down south in City Heights, Logan Heights area, where our mobile pantry for Parks After Dark for the summer program, for the last weekend of this season, one of 5 community parks for over 8 weeks, we were delivering food to people facing hunger in those communities. And the look of gratitude, the thankfulness, the hugs that my volunteers and my staff got from people receiving food, a basic item, food, which is so needed across this community in San Diego, we are delivering it. What we do at Feeding San Diego and how we do it aligns very closely with the Lions. We rescue food, grocery stores, getting ready to push it off the shelf. We have it rescued and it goes through our agency network to be delivered directly into the community. Not only do we rescue the food, but we feed people with that rescued food. And as we do the feeding using volunteers, we unite communities. Lions International has a mission to empower Lions clubs, volunteers, and partners to improve health and well-being, strengthen communities, and support those in need through humanitarian service and grants that impact lives. We feed, we rescue, we unite. You help through your service to provide improved health and well-being, and by doing so, you strengthen communities. That directly aligns with what we do at Feeding San Diego. You have core values, and your first one is service. My personal core value starts with service. The core value at Feeding San Diego starts with service. There are opportunities for Lions to get involved. Prior to my remarks here, I had the conversations at the table. Why did you join Lions? How long have you been serving with them? And one theme resonated, and that was, I get to participate in my community. I get to put my time and my treasure to where I get to see my impact because I'm directly involved in making that impact. You can do the same throughout San Diego County. And I offer or invite Lions to participate in our mission of serving others through our service of providing food to people in need. At our distribution center in Mira Mesa, we are constantly gleaning and packing food. I get 10 tractor trailer loads of produce every week that we unpack and break down to deliver to the community. That's 1.5 million pounds of produce every month. We need the hands to help us do that. Field support for mobile pantries. Just as I described yesterday at BBSD, or the field work that we did at the Memorial Park, those were volunteers who were doing the distribution. Military and veteran families, food distributions. Now I understand right now that the Lions from Roaring Lions are preparing to support a program called Support the Enlisted Project, STEP. We provide STEP all their food, last year to the tune of 250,000 pounds. But they need help distributing it to the community. We do this at Camp Pendleton, we do this at Murphy Canyon, and we support it at MCAS Miramar. You can participate in our annual food drive, where we coordinate with all the VFW centers, the Rotary, and with the Humana, which is a healthcare company, to gather food from throughout the community, and then we eventually pack it and deliver it to active duty, military families in need, and veterans across the community. You can always volunteer to support our network, because we have over 200 agencies that work directly in the communities. Whether it's at CRC, up in Encinitas, the San Diego Rescue Mission, all the way down to Heaven's Windows in Lemon Grove. Throughout the county of San Diego, there are smaller organizations we provide the food to that they always can use the hands to help them distribute it. And of course, there's always room for financial donations, because we take $0 from the federal government. My service life was put aside several years ago when I hung up my uniform in 2015. My life of service continues, especially in this role as a CEO at Feeding San Diego. It's amazing how one door closes and another opens, and you get exposed to new experiences while reflecting on the similar ones that you have just left behind. Destiny is not a matter of choice. Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. Don't let your destiny be driven by chance. Fulfill your Lions Club mission by making choice. I've made my choice, and I am at peace. Thank you.